May be seated. I just want to let you know Dr. E is on call this weekend. Poor dear, she's over there answering her patients. So, may I proudly announce our guest speaker, Dr. Bertha Serwa, IE from Ghana, Africa. Let's give her a round of applause.
I am so happy to be here, and Kathy, thanks for the introduction. I'm very glad to be here. And before I start, I'm going to share a little joke, and then I'll sing, and then we'll start sharing the Word of God. How many of you brought your Bibles with you today? Okay, so I know what to ask you to do and what not to. I thought we might be reading some verses. Anyway, so a little girl kept on asking her dad that she wanted something to eat. Can I go to McDonald's? You know how kids can go, I want to go to McDonald's, can you take me? She wasn't even in first grade yet. So Dad said, well, if you can spell McDonald's, I'll take you. She sat there for a moment, smart little girl. She said, I'd rather go to KFC. I can spell that one. Let's go KFC. So her dad took her. Anyway, so I'm just going to sing a little song today. I'm going to be talking with you about walking in the light. My sermon is entitled Walk in the Light. And if you know this song, you can sing it along with me. It goes like this. I'll sing it one more time and we'll stop preaching. Walk in the light, oh beautiful light. Come where the dewdrops from heaven come down. Shine forth your light by day and night, because Jesus is the light of the world. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking with you about walking in the light. And the first verse, we're going to read a lot of the Bible, so you can keep your Bible open. The first place I'm going to start reading from is Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. The Bible says that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. So right from the beginning of creation, our world was filled with darkness. There was nothing here. The Bible says that it was without form and void. And all God had to say was to speak out light. Let there be light. Can you imagine? This room is dark and someone just says, let there be light. And out of nowhere, there is light. He just spoke light into being. And he was able to do that because the Bible says that he is the light. God is light. And in him, there is no darkness at all. So I'm just going to keep reading. It says, and God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day. And the darkness he called night. And in the evening and in the morning was the first day. So God was able to separate light from day, night from day, something none of us can do. And today, as I talk with you, I know we're all in church, but at any point in your life, you're going to have to make a decision. Every day, you have to make a decision to walk in light. There is no gray area. There is no, I live in the dark sometimes, I live in the day sometimes I'm in the night. Every one of us has to wake up every day and decide, I will be a light. Because if we're in Christ, the Bible says in him, there is no darkness at all. So you have to make a decision every day. I choose to let my life be a light. In God, there is no darkness. And what is the difference? We saw little Matthew, was that his name? Come give us some light. But in the night, this whole place will get dark if there's no light, right? Now, if I take a little torch and I light that in the middle of the night, no matter how dark this place is, that little light is going to be able to light this whole place up, right? So the Bible says that Jesus was the light. And when he shone in the darkness could not understand it. So I already shared with you about Genesis. So if you have your Bible, which you do, I'm going to go to John chapter 1. Actually, 1 John chapter 1, verse 5 to 7. John chapter 1, verse 5 to 7. The Bible says that this then is the message which we have heard of him and declare unto you. The God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. And if we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie. Everybody says we lie. We lie. If we say we fellowship with him and we walk in darkness, we lie and we do not do the truth. But if we walk in light, as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus Christ cleanses us from all sin. And if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves. But if we confess our sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. The Bible says in Isaiah that the people that sit in darkness have seen a great light. So I will turn again to John chapter 3. I don't know if you remember what happened in John chapter 3, but a certain man called Nicodemus appeared to Jesus at night, wanting to know. He said, Master or Rabbi, we know you're a teacher come from God, and no one can do the miracles that you do except God be with him. And so Jesus went on to talk about John 3:16, for God so loved the world. But then he said something else. He said in verse 19 of chapter 3, he said, this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hated the light, neither does he come to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. He says, this is the condemnation, that light is coming to the world. So Jesus Christ was the light. What does light do for us? And I want this to be interactive. When you go into your room, it's late at night, and you turn the lights on. First of all, maybe we should talk about darkness. If you enter a dark room, what happens? What are some of the consequences of being in the dark? You can't see ahead of you. So if you can't see ahead of you, what can happen to you? You would fall. You would trip and fall. Very good. What else happens in the dark?
You would be afraid.
I'm sorry?
You would be afraid.
You would be afraid. Very good. And I will talk at the end about fear. Fear seems to underlie a lot of things that people do in this life. And I hope that as I'm talking about walking in the light, we'll come to a point where fear is not a motivator for us. You'll be afraid. If you're depressed, depression, anxiety, anger, people get angry because they're afraid, not because they just want to shout. They're afraid that you crossed a certain boundary. They're afraid if they don't let you know how upset they are, you might take something from them. So fear is a big factor in darkness. Anything else that happens in darkness? Okay, that's enough. You said enough. You can't see, you're going to fall, you're going to trip. And then voila, you turn the lights on. What happens now? You can see, so you're not going to trip. And so Jesus is that light. The Bible says that he is the true light that comes into the world. He came to show us the way to get to God. He came to show us the path ahead of us. And as a matter of fact, he said there were two roads, right? I don't know if you remember that. He said there's a big road that is leading to hell. And then there's a tiny road that goes to heaven. And on that path, he lights your way. The road is so narrow, if he doesn't light it, you're going to fall. So he is the light. And that light, the Bible says that in him was life, and his life became the light. How can a person's life become the light? How can your life become a light? And your life can become a light by what you do. By what you do, your deeds. Because when you wake up in the morning, what is your life really? You wake up, you go brush your teeth, you take a shower, you put on your clothes, you get in your car, and then you start mixing with people, right? somebody crosses ahead of you, somebody doesn't stop in front of you, you go to work, your coworker upsets you, your customers are a little mean or kind, and your daily interaction becomes your life. So the very decisions you make as you interact with people, that is what shines out as light. That is what becomes truly your light. And Jesus tried to set a good example. He showed us the light. The Bible says he was a servant. He washed people's feet. He healed the sick. And I know it's nice to come to church and everything all dressed up, but really, I want you to know that Christianity is not in church. You just come to church for training. It's like you go to nursing school. You don't stay in nursing school forever, right? After a while you graduate, they give you real patients to take care of. So this place is just training ground. The rest of the time, you should be living out your faith. What did Jesus do? He taught, he healed, he preached. And that is what you're supposed to live your life like every day. You heal the sick. I don't see many people, if all of you were to go out and lay hands on sick people, doctors will go out of business. People will get healed. You don't know how much power is inside you. You have light inside you. When someone tells you they have a headache, it's not for you to have a pity party with them. Oh, when did you go see the doctor? Are you taking your medicines today? Oh, I'm sorry. All those little nice things we do. We are supposed to be like Christ. We're supposed to be a light. You're supposed to tell them, hold their hands and know that God's power is inside you. You're supposed to hold their hands and pray with them. And as you pray with them, they will get healed. As a matter of fact, somebody sent me a little video a while back. It was a family member. And this girl was, I believe, somewhere in Pennsylvania. She cries the whole clip. She was crying because she saw somebody, she and her sister were at Sam's Club and they saw somebody who was ill. I think the woman, either the person had just had a stroke or something really severe. And she and her sister thought, you know what, why don't we just pray for her? And then right there as they prayed, they were just ordinary teenage churchgoers, probably 18 or 19. That woman was miraculously healed right in front of her. So she started crying and she took a video of it. She was crying. She's like, I just healed somebody. But you know, it sounded unusual to her. That is supposed to be our daily walk. That is your light. You go out and solve problems. You go out and lay hands on the sick and heal people, right? Can somebody say amen? Amen. Amen. So walk in the light. So Jesus talked about, this is the condemnation, that light is coming to the world, but men love darkness. Another thing light does is to expose things. If your kid just came and kicked your lamp down, in the dark you're never going to see what's wrong, right? But when you come in there and you switch the light on, you go, oh, that lamp fell, I gotta fix it. You go into the kitchen, there's orange juice on the floor, you're not gonna see it if there's no light. But once you turn the lights on, you're gonna see there's a mess. You're gonna clean it, right? So the other thing light does is to expose people's sin. But sometimes people don't want to have their sin exposed, right? You know, Herod the king, he had married his brother's wife. Actually, I don't think he had even married her. He just took her by force. And so John the Baptist will not stop mentioning it to him. Herod the king, you're doing the wrong thing. Herod the king, do you remember what Herod did to him? Who knows it? Well, Richard, he had his head cut off, right? Actually, he didn't do it. The woman's daughter was dancing, and she danced so well, and he said, I'll give you anything you ask. She went and asked her mother. Mother said, go and tell the king you want John the Baptist's head. So Herod really didn't want to kill John the Baptist, but he had made a promise. So they cut off his head for showing the truth. So not everybody wants their sin exposed, but that's what light does. It will tell you that you are doing the wrong thing. The Bible says that everyone that doeth evil hates the light and doesn't want to come to light. But he that doeth the truth cometh to light because he wants his deeds to be made manifest. And we're in church, not so we can enjoy church and have fellowship, but so that you will go out every day and be a light. And if you're doing the right thing, the Bible says, you know, sometimes we try to be modest, oh, good old me, I just want to keep everything quiet. No, Jesus said that we should let our light so shine. And I'm going to read that in Matthew. Matthew chapter 5, verse 5. Actually, it's verse 14. Matthew 5:14. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." I want you to tell yourself, "I am the light of the world." Say that to yourself. I am the light of the world. The world is in darkness. Can you tell that? If you're not sure, just switch on your television. It's bad news after bad news after bad news. As a matter of fact, I was telling my husband the other day, they should stop telling us all the bad news because it's not news. We're sinners by nature. If somebody commits adultery, fornication, tells a lie, goes to steal, it's really not news. That's how we're sinners by nature. So what they should be reporting is the lights that people give up. Somebody prayed for somebody did a kind act for somebody. That's what's news. The rest is all not news. Do you understand what I'm saying? All the bad things they report, it's not news because that's the way we were made. Because of Adam and Eve's sin, we spew forth sin. Unless the light of God shines on us and we start doing good. So when you start doing good, Jesus is saying, and I'm not the one saying, I'm not saying you should stop bragging about what you do. Jesus said it. He said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house." And it's interesting, I didn't even know I was going to come and find candlesticks, but suppose Matthew lit this light, and then when he was done, he takes a basket and covers it. What is the point? Oh, we flip these lights on and we ask somebody to get a piece of black cloth and cover them all up. Would it make any sense? No. The Bible says that if you have light in you, let it show. Find a candlestick, put it on it, because the world is full of darkness. We need some light. And you are the light that Jesus is not here. He was the light, but he's gone. And he's left his light in you. He's left his light in me. We're supposed to show the light. And how do you show the light? By your good works. And that's the next verse that I'm going to read. In verse 16, Matthew 5. Your good works, that every day in dealing with people, is the light. What is the light? Your good works. What is the light? I want to hear you. What is the light? Your good works. That is the light. Your good works. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. That's what Jesus said in verse 16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Because you know what? When you start showing good works, it's true people may make a comment here and there, or if you have a wonderful person like Kathy who would nominate you for something, but otherwise you reflect God. That is the way people are going to see God, because God is not here. We can't touch him, we can't see him. But when you start showing good works, people begin to see, oh, maybe that's what God looks like. You begin to reflect God. So Jesus Christ has a mandate for you this morning. He said, walk in the light. Be a light. Because when you do that, people begin to see your good works. They'll look back and glorify your Father which is in heaven. And this morning I want you to decide, what do you love? Do you love light or do you love darkness? Jesus said that he's come into the world, but some people love darkness. And I'm not the one saying it. It's in John chapter 3. He told Nicodemus. He said he's come as a light. And men love darkness. And I can see why he said that. Do you know why he said that? I know now oh, gentle Jesus, meek and mild. We glorify Jesus, but do you know that when Jesus was alive, everybody gave him a hard time. When Jesus was alive, every day the Pharisees were accusing him. You're a demon. When he healed somebody, why did you heal on Sabbath day? When he praised something, why did you praise this? He actually healed a woman who was bent over. I don't know if you've read it. This woman was bent over for years. When he healed them, he healed the woman. They said, do you know it's a Sabbath day? Why did you do it? He said, this woman has been bound for years. Shall I not deliver this woman who has been bound? Because you know the Bible says for a purpose, and they were always at him. I don't remember, apart from when they praised him when he was coming into that, I don't know what they call that, his grand entry into Jerusalem. Apart from that, every single day, you're Beelzebub. You're eating with prostitutes. Every day they were at him. So I can see how he told Nicodemus, I have come into the world as light, but men rather love darkness. So I know you're in church, everybody would assume you're in light, but deep down in your hearts, do you love darkness rather than light? And if so, I want to encourage you. God says that you can walk in light. And don't think that you're in church and so you're always going to walk in light. Actually, the Bible is replete with examples of people who didn't make it to the end. That's why Paul was always encouraging people, run the race with patience, right, Kathy? Run the race. Don't think you're 65 and you've made it. People get to the end. The Bible talks about that little boy, King Josiah, who became a king at 6. He served God for a while. You read the Old Testament. There were several kings or several people who served God, and then at the very end, they just were tired of doing the right thing. And they sinned. You know, so not everybody fights to the end. So every day you're going to have to make a decision. I will be a light. I choose to let my life reflect Jesus Christ. I choose to walk in light. Some people come to church, but secretly love darkness. The church is just a facade, and I'll give you an example of such an individual. So don't hide your good works, shine God's work. And I'm going to turn to the book of James. It tells us some of the works that we should be doing. So we're turning to James right now. James chapter 3, verse 13 to 18. Are you being blessed? Yeah. Okay. So James chapter 3, it says, who is a wise man endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of good works, out of a good conversation, his works with meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descended not from above, but it's earthly, sensual, devilish, and where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And it goes on to talk about the fact that the wisdom that it says, let him show forth out of his heart, good conversation, his works with meekness of wisdom. So your works have to be done in meekness of wisdom. And what is the difference between worldly wisdom and earthly wisdom? One, it talks about bitter envy. The Bible says in Proverbs that you can have a little bit of hatred here, and envying is something that is so hurtful. When you start envying somebody, you're smiling at them, but deep down in your heart, you're full of envy. The Bible says that is not light. It's darkness. When you have too much strife, you're fighting with everybody in your family, you have a little thing with every one of your friends, you don't forgive quickly. The Bible says that that is not light either. But love is peaceable, it's gentle, it's easy to be entreated. And then I will let us turn to 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 5. The Bible says that, but ye are the children of light, not of the children of darkness. And so we're supposed to be in the day and not at night. And I'll turn to it quickly. I know it's my turn. So 1 Thessalonians verse 5. If you get there first, you can read it for me. Okay, 1 Thessalonians verse 5. It says that, verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as a woman who is in travail with child, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, and that day should overtake you as a thief. You are all the children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that are drunken, get drunken in the night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet, the hope of salvation. For God has not appointed us unto wrath. So 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 5 tells us that we are not children of the night. We are children of the day. We talked about light and darkness, and that can be artificial. But now let's talk about day and night. What happens in the daytime? What do you do in the day? Work. Drive. Housework. Cook. Garden. What else? Walk. Pray. You can do a lot in the day. Anything else? We're in church. We came to church during the day, right? What about night? What happens at night? Sleep. Yes, sleep. You get sleepy, so you sleep. What else happens at night? Dream. And when you sleep, are you aware of what's going on around you? No. You have no awareness. What else happens? It says those who get drunk what? In the night. That's why they have nightclubs, right? And bars at night, right? They get drunk at night. Why don't prostitutes hang out during the daytime? What time of the day do they hang out? Night. What time do thieves come out and steal? Night. Why don't they come out during the day? They don't like light. They're going to be seen, right? The Bible says that we are children of light. We are children of the day, not of the night, right? So it tells us in 1 Thessalonians 5, the Bible says we should be sober and awake. And you know Ephesians 6, because we are people of the day, right? We're not of the night. Do you understand? We are people of the day. Be sober, be vigilant, because we can see. And when you're of the day, you can get everything done. We don't wait for thieves to come to us. We're vigilant. We sleep with one eye open, right? We're looking around us. So the Bible says that be sober, be vigilant, walk steadfastly, and we're not of the people that walk in the night. Another important aspect my husband brought up to me, he said, if you turn your lights on in the night when you're driving, you can see far ahead of you. But when your lights are off, you can't see. But there was one day when I was driving along the river, it was very foggy, and I could only see 3 feet ahead of me. It made driving very anxiety-provoking because I couldn't tell what I was going to run into, right? So when you're in the light, you can plan far ahead. But when you're in darkness, you take short-term decisions. And a lot of teenagers do that. They live by the minute. They don't really care. Okay, I'll do it, whatever. I don't care. A lot of people live like that. But when you're in the light, God gives you enough wisdom to make good decisions. So you think ahead and you plan, right? You take decisions not based on momentary pleasure, but you take decisions based on long-term consequences. Not only on earth, but because we know we're going to make it to where? Heaven. And we know that once we get there, now there's no camera. But I tell you, everybody, God's got a video camera on you. Once you get to heaven, He's going to start playing it. And He's going to ask you, did you do this? And you can't deny it because you'll see yourself in the movie. So you better start living right. If you're living a double life, your wife thinks you're the only woman in this, you're the only woman, she's the only woman in your life, but you have another little something on the side, God sees it. And we have a lot of divorces in America. How do they start? It's these little foxes, you know? And then, oh, I'm asking, I want a divorce. How did you get to that point? It started from somewhere, but God is watching you. You got to be faithful to your spouse, right? right? And we have a lot of IV drug use. How does it start? Somebody offers somebody a little something, right? And then they get addicted. So God is watching you, and we're people of the day. The Bible says in Colossians that He has delivered us from the power of darkness and translated us into the kingdom of His own dear Son. And so we were in darkness before. God has literally pulled us. And I'll give you an example of life. This week, I had a phone call from an old friend. And I actually called her because I heard her husband had passed away. And she shared a very poignant story with me that almost brought me to tears. She said, when we were little, we lived across from each other, and they were from a divorced family, and their mother worked hard to try and keep everything together, but sometimes she traveled. And when she was gone, my mother decided to stop in and check on them every now and then. So there was this one morning, my mother went into their house, and her little brother was sick with a fever, shaking, and the kids didn't have a car, they didn't know what to do. So according to this friend of mine, she said my mother sent her back down, called for a cab, and took the little boy to the hospital and sat with him all day until he got better and their mother came home. And then she said my mother told them that as long as she's alive, she's going to make sure that boy eats breakfast, lunch, and supper in our house. And so she said my mother did that for as long as she can remember. And sometimes they went hungry, and this little boy would get up and say, hey, I'm going to my other mother. And he would come to our house and eat. And I honestly did not remember. Maybe I was too little to remember. And she said, what was even nice about it, that when her little brother could not make it over, my mother would send somebody that, hey, where's Nana Paul? He's not here today, go and get him. And then when he came over, my mother would pamper him. Oh, Nana Paul, I'm so happy to see you. Sit down and have some food to eat. And I was like, are you sure? I don't remember these things. So I called my mother the next morning. She said, that's exactly what happened, my dear. I did it for as long as I can remember. And now that boy is a reverend minister. He's a Methodist minister and an attorney. He's a lawyer, so I think he works for like the Methodist, the head office in our country. But that was a very moving story. And I remember many times my mother had a little altar at home where she was always praying for us. And when she shared that story with me and my mother said it was true, to me, I told myself, that is an example of light. It's been 35 years, but that girl could remember. And she was down to the detail. She said, I remember every one of it. My mother had acted as a light in their dark little world that they lived in. It was hard. And then you see darkness at work too. In 2005, the world heard of someone called BTK, bind, torture, and kill. Who remembers that story? None of you do? Yeah. Maybe I watch the news too much. No, seriously, this guy was called Dennis Rader. And guess what? He was president of the church council. He was president of a church council. He went to a Lutheran church in Wichita, Kansas. He went into the army, and apparently he loved to kill. So in 1974, between 74 and 91, he carried out a killing spree. He killed 10 people. His wife had no idea he was leading a double life. He came to sit in church just like all of us are sitting here, nice, pretty, and well-dressed. His first killing was of a family. He drove his wife to work every morning, and he worked this Hispanic family, and somehow he said he had a liking for Spanish women, and instead of just liking them, he had demonic desires. He just enjoyed watching them die, and he having some sexual pleasure or something out of it. So he went to this home, killed the whole family, and then he would start sending letters to the police. I did this, you can't find me. Because he was covering all his crime with a nice marriage, he had 2 children, and he was head of the Boy Scouts. Or at least he was part of the Boy Scout leaders. And when they went to camp, 2 of the murders he committed were when he went to Boy Scouts. In the middle of the night, everybody knew he was in camp, so he had a nice alibi. He would slip away, go and kill a human being, and come back. He killed 10 people. And do you know what finally led to his arrest? I think he got bored. He hadn't killed in a while, so in 2004 he sent a letter to the police. If I send you a floppy disk, can you trace it to a computer? They said no. They were lying, of course. So he sent them a copy of all the letters he had made. He liked to take pictures of his murder scenes and everything. And guess what? They traced the floppy disk to a church computer. And so the bad thing was he didn't even do the letters at home. He would come to the church and use the church computer to type up the letters. So the way they caught him was they looked at the timing of his letters, who had come into the office that day, and they were able to track. He was the only one who used the computer during that time. And they caught him. His wife had no idea that he was married to a monster. What am I saying? You might be in church. Are you living a double life? Do you have darkness inside of you? Like blind torture and kill? He showed no remorse whatsoever. Or have you decided to be a light? Paul said in Acts 26 that God had called him so that people's eyes could be opened and that they would turn from darkness into light, from the power of Satan to the power of God. And I know I've talked a lot about light, I've talked about darkness. But this morning you've got to ask yourself, who is controlling all the darkness that is in the world? All the things that we hear every day. There's a gunshot here, somebody killed somebody, somebody's dying in a bathtub. People are committing suicide. The Bible says that, Acts 26, he said, God has called me to let people's eyes be opened, to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan to the power of God. I know some people don't like to hear the word devil, but Jesus mentioned it. It's in the Bible. Paul's ministry was to turn people away from the power of the devil to the power of God. And the power of the devil works with hatred, while God works with what? Love. I know there's a lot of 10 commandments, and some people say don't put it up, put it down, take it off. There's a lot of argument. But Jesus said, I have only one commandment. What's Jesus' commandment? I have only one commandment, love one another. You know, guys, you go study the 10 commandments. The first 3 has to do with love God, make sure you don't put idols before Him. The rest of them is about love. If you love your spouse, you won't commit adultery. If you love your friend, you won't steal from them. If you love your friend, you won't lie about them. If you love your friend, you won't covet from them, right? So all the commandments, he said love. On these hung the law and the prophets. God wanted a way to show the people of the Old Testament how to walk in love, so he had to write a lot of laws. But for you and I, because of the New Testament and the new agreement, Jesus said, I have only one law. Can you walk in love? Can you walk in light? And as you read through the Bible, I haven't proven this anywhere, but I noticed that wherever there's light, you can replace it with love. God is light, God is love. Walk in light, walk in love. So when you start walking in love and you start showing the works of light, then you show good works and you are not overcome by the devil. And the last time I'll share, I'm almost to the end of my little sermon here, Psalm 27. It says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked and my foes, they come up against me to eat up my flesh. They stumble and they fell. One thing have I asked of the Lord, that will I always seek after, that I may dwell in the house of God all the days of my life. And that one, the lady talked about fear. When you start walking in light, do you realize that you're only afraid in the dark? Not many people are afraid in the light, right? When I was little, I was very afraid of dark places. I grew out of it though. Or better still, when I gave my life to Christ, I'm not afraid anymore. But when you're in light, you're not afraid. So walk in light, walk boldly. And lastly, the way to keep walking in light every day is to get into the Word of God yourself. Just when your pastor preaches to you, make a habit of reading the Bible. Because Psalm 119 verse 105 says, Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So if you're here this morning And deep down in your heart, you know, and you are the only one who knows. Not the TK. Nobody put it. The neighbor's wife was just a friendly guy. And he was murdering people and taunting the police. If you know deep down in your heart that you really haven't made a decision to walk in light, you're like half in the light, you come to church, everybody knows you as a nice church guy or a nice church girl, but deep down, you love darkness. You take part in dark things. So this morning, I want you to make a decision. If you want to raise your hands and come forward, it's fine, we'll all pray. But I want you to be convicted in your heart this morning. And if you're here this morning and you've never given your life to Christ, who is the light of the world, I want you to come forward and let the whole church pray with you. And I don't know if you have counselors here. Is there anybody here who hasn't given their life to Christ? You haven't seen the light that is in Jesus Christ. Jesus, we just want to commit this congregation to you. You know why you sent me here this morning, and you chose what you want me to talk about. The people should walk in the light. Let their life be a reflection of you. Father, if there's anybody here who think they've given their lives to Christ, but continue to get under the power of the devil so that God cannot even work in their lives. Daddy, this morning, we break that yoke in the name of Jesus. Your word says in Colossians, you have the power to deliver us from darkness. Father, deliver any such individual. Cause conviction to be in our hearts this morning. And we also pray for every sick among our midst. The Bible says, is there anyone sick among you? Let's pray for them. Father, we thank you for your word this morning. And I commit this congregation into your hand. They have a goal of 260. I pray that this year they will exceed that goal. That the church will grow and grow and grow to the glory of your holy name. We thank you so much for answered prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. And thank you for taking the time to listen.